Welcome back to Mr. New's art class. It's wonderful to see your smiling faces. As we continue our series here on creating emotions and feelings in our artwork, we're going to talk about Romero Britto. As you can see from the artworks that I'm showing you here, Romero Britto's art is all about love and peace and joy and happiness. His goal in life is just to make people smile. And what specific tools does he use in his artwork to make you do that? First, he uses symbols, images of things like hearts or words like love that really speak to us on a really quick level of expressing a feeling. Second, he uses bright colors and bold black outlines to really make things pop out at you. And third, these whimsical patterns fill everything, and patterns really help just kind of ease the mind a little bit because they make things really simple to look at. So the first step in making our Romero Britto inspired, joyful, happy, exciting paintings, we need to think of a word. Now, we want to think about a word that really makes us feel all happy and warm inside. A word like love, peace, joy, kindness, friends, family, fun, smile. You know, something like that. I like the word smile, so I think that's what I'm going to use. But before I just go write that word, I need to think about how I'm going to put patterns inside the letters. How do you do that? If I write the letter S, well, how do I put patterns inside of that? Well, I mean, I could take the space in between the curves here and like start making like a pattern in there, but well, now you can't even tell that it's an S anymore, can you? Why not? Oh, wait, no, there's a better way. If I make a box letter S, oh, that's got a shape to it instead of just being lines. So I could put a pattern inside the letter S. Not in between the different parts of the letter S, but actually in the letter. Ooh, wait. Mr. New, I don't know how to draw box letters. Don't worry about it, I got you covered. It's real easy. Practice this with me. We're going to use both sides of our paper today. We're going to practice on the front, we're going to practice on one side, then we're going to flip it over to the other side, and that side will be the front. So let's practice together. Let's start with a really easy letter. Let's start with the letter N. Just write the letter N normally. And then let's count the lines. 1, 2, 3. It has a vertical line, a diagonal line, and another vertical line. What that means is that when I make this into a box letter, it's going to need to have 3 boxes. Each line should become a box. It's going to be a vertical box, then a diagonal box, then another vertical box. Here's what I mean. This line right here is going to need to turn into a box. To turn that into a box, I'll make one end of the box, follow along the edge, and then make the other end of the box. See how easy that was? Okay, here's another line. I'll make one end of the box, I'll follow along the line, and oh look, the other end of that box is already closed off. And now for my third line. Make one end of the box, follow along the line, and oh look, the other end is already boxed off. Oh look, I just made a box letter N. Now I know some of you are probably looking at that thinking, yeah, I already know how to make a box letter N, Mr. New. I've been doing this for a long time, and you don't have to teach me how to make box letters because I already know how. Well, good for you. Good, that's great. Some of you are also even thinking, yeah, but Mr. New, I can do it like this. I can make it all fancy looking. I can make embellishments on my box letters and make them look really cool. Can you do that? Ha ha ha. Yes. This is what I would call level 1, this is what I would call level 2, and this is what I would call level 3. There are 3 different levels here. You do what works for you. If you don't know how to do it, this is a good trick that works for any letter. We're going to practice this a little bit more. If you know how to make box letters already without doing it this way, great. That's good for you. So you don't have to practice as much. And if you are like super awesome at making box letters and you want to make them all fancy, well, that's great if you can do it, but don't try to do it if you don't know how. We want to do the best we can, not try something brand new for this. So let's go back and practice some more, just in case, because I know there are a lot of you who are still confused about how this worked. Let's try another letter. The letter E. How many lines are in that letter? 1, 2, 3 horizontal lines. Oh, we forgot the vertical. There's a 4th line, that one's vertical though. Okay. Well, each of those lines needs to turn into a box. So this vertical line should turn into a tall box, like that. And then each of these 3 horizontal lines should turn into a horizontal box. Oh, close it off. There we go. So that's how you make a box letter E. This trick works for any letter, uppercase or lowercase. This trick works for any number. This trick works for hashtags and exclamation points and any other symbols you can draw. So let's try another letter. Let's do the letter P. How many lines are in the letter P? 1 vertical line and 1 curved line. That means we're going to make 1 vertical box and 1 curved box. Let's do that. The vertical line's easy. It's the same as it was for the E. It's the same as it was for the N. It's really easy. It's just a rectangle, right? But this curved line, what do we do for that? How do we make that a box? Well, we just follow along the line, right? Like this. Boom. See how that looks like a horseshoe? Well, there's also a hole in the middle of that letter. So if we were going to do any coloring in the background around the letter, like if I was going to shade or color around the outside behind the letter, then I would also see through that hole in the letter and shade that or color that the same way I color the rest of the background. Pretty cool, huh? With that same thought, what about the letter O? How many lines are in the letter O? That's a tricky question. It's 1. The answer is 1. We started at the top, we made a line that curved around and down and then back up to where it started. Well, we need to make 1 box out of it. So we're going to start here, we're going to follow around that line and then stop at the end. So it makes 1 curved box. Look, you see how it's like a donut? And just like the letter P, it's got a hole in the middle where it would show through to the background. Okay, what about the letter S? How many lines are in the letter S? Well, there are 0 straight lines, but there's 1 curved line. So we need 1 curved box. So I'll draw the end of the box, then I'll follow around that line, and then I'll make the other end of that box. And you see how that comes together to make a box letter S. This works for any letter in the alphabet. While we're practicing with a pencil, let's draw the whole word. You pick your word. My word is smile. Draw it whichever way works for you. I know how to make box letters, so I am just going to write the word smile with box letters. If you don't know how to make those box letters, you can practice by writing the letter and then turning each line into a box. There's my I. My L, well, that's 2 lines, so it's going to need 2 boxes. And then my E, we just practiced that one. So practice for a minute writing your word. You can write it a couple of times if you need to practice until you get it right. Then we're going to flip our paper over and I'm going to switch and use a Sharpie marker for this. If you don't have a Sharpie, you could use a black Crayola marker, or you could draw it with a pencil first, then trace it when you're done if you're afraid of making mistakes. But here's the idea. I'm going to use my Sharpie marker to write my word big across my page. Smile is my word. I want to make that big. Why do I want to make it so big? Because I want to be able to put patterns inside the letters. That's my goal here. Now, I need to decide, do I want to do all capital letters like I practiced, or do I want to do lowercase letters? I think I'll do lowercase letters. You could do all caps. You could do all lowercase. It's really up to you. I chose to do lowercase letters because there's something fun and fancy that I want to do with the dot on the I. Notice that the dot on the I is a circle. It's not a donut. I didn't draw another circle in the middle of it. It's just a circle. Anyway, let's get my L. Let's get my E. And I have written the word smile. The next thing I want to do, before I start drawing patterns inside of here, I don't want just one pattern in each letter. I want kind of each letter to be broken into maybe 2 or 3 different shapes so I can have different patterns in those different shapes. So what I need to do is draw some lines that kind of cut those letters into pieces. So what I'm going to do here is make sort of a curvy or bumpy or wavy line that goes through all of my letters. Now, that might seem a little bit tricky, but I get that. If it's easier for you to think of one letter at a time instead of making a line that goes through all of your letters, that's fine. But notice how this line splits the S into 2 pieces. It splits the M into the pieces below that line and the piece above that line. It splits the I into 2 pieces, the L into 2 pieces, and the E into this piece under that line and then this piece to the right of that line. I could stop here and start making my patterns in those different places, or I could split it up some more. Maybe I want another kind of swooshy, curvy shape. That comes through like this. You make it how you want. Notice that each letter is at least split into 2 pieces. Some are more, but I don't have it split into teeny tiny little itty bitty pieces. Now what I'm going to go and do is each one of these different pieces of my letter is going to be made into different colored patterns. To color those patterns, I'm going to use whatever coloring materials I have. Markers are probably going to work really good for this. Crayons and colored pencils could work too, depending on how many different colors you need and what colors you're looking for. I'm going to start with my markers, and I might come back to my other supplies as well. And for each section, so my letter S has 3 different sections. So I want 3 different patterns. Well, one way to make a pattern is to pick 2 colors, like yellow and red, and look at those 2 colors and figure out which one is lightest. Yellow is lighter than red. And I'll start with that color, and I'll just color a whole piece of my letter. Am I coloring the whole letter, all one pattern? No. I'm coloring just this section. I'm not going over the lines. Okay? And then Since I started with my lighter color, I could go back and use my darker color on top of it to draw some kind of a pattern like polka dots. And you see how this red marker is able to make those polka dots on top of the yellow background. That's kind of neat. Well, in my next section, I should probably switch to different colors. So, what if I wanted to do something with purple and green? Purple and green in this area here. Maybe I want to do stripes. Well, in this example, I colored the whole thing one color and then I made the polka dots on top. Is that the only way to do it? What would have happened if I had made the polka dots first? Well, then I would have just had to color the yellow around the polka dots. For stripes, it's real easy to make a stripe, color it in, switch colors, make my next stripe, color it in, switch colors, make another stripe, color it in, switch colors, switch colors, switch colors, switch colors, back and forth and back and forth. That's an easy way to do it. Another easy way to do it would be to say, you know what, I got my purple out. Let's make all my purple stripes. Then let's switch colors one time and come back and fill the gaps between them with my green and make all my green stripes. Notice that I'm taking my time to very carefully color inside the lines. I don't want my colors to go over any of the lines. I want my colors to stay inside the letters, but I also want it to stay in this section of the letter. I don't want it to cross over into the yellow. Alrighty, now I need to think of another pattern and another 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 and another, a lot of patterns. Does every section have to have a pattern? What if there's a section that I just want to color one solid color? Am I allowed to do that, Mr. New? Do I have to use a pattern in every single piece of this letter? Okay, it's okay if you want a couple areas of your picture to just be a solid color. That's okay. That's fine. But try not to do that too much. Think about patterns. Pattern just means you're repeating stuff. So it could be stripes, it could be polka dots, it could be zigzags, it could be hearts or stars or rainbows or diamonds, or it could be anything. It could be a checkerboard, right? Like, just see what kinds of patterns you can come up with and spread them out throughout your word. And if you're gonna have some areas that are just colored one solid color, like, spread those out so they're not all together in one spot. And there you have it. I ended up not using any of my crayons or colored pencils, just my markers. I had more than enough colors to choose from because of the way that I was making a bunch of different patterns. If I was just coloring things all solid color, then I would have run out of colors pretty quick. But I love the way some of these patterns, like this is what I would call a funfetti pattern. If you've never had a funfetti cake, it's, you know, like a white cake with lots of different colored sprinkles inside. That's where I got that idea from. White with big red polka dots, yellow with little red polka dots, hearts, triangles, zigzaggedy things, stripes, X's, all sorts of different patterns you could come up with. Now, as a bonus, if you really want to jazz this up and take it just to the next level, we could use our pencil to do some shading to make something that we call a drop shadow. Now, the way that we would do that is we would look at our letters and we would pick a direction, right or left, and we would just shade outside of the letter along the right side or along the left side. I'm going to do it on the right side of each letter. So I'm just shading a little bit on the right side of each letter. Notice that I'm not trying to push down too hard with my pencil. I'm trying to get a nice gray for that shadow by using my pencil very gently and going right around the edge of that letter on the right side. Do I want to do both the right and the left? Nah. Pick one side, either the right or the left. And here's the key, if you're gonna do this, you don't have to, but if you're gonna do this, keep it consistent on all the letters of your word. So I did the right side of that letter, I need to do the right side of this letter, and it's gonna be the right side of every part of this letter. So I've gone up the right side of this vertical piece, but do I go along the bottom and the left to here? No. I go to the right side of this piece, and I make the shadow there. And then do I come down the left side? No. Swap over to the right side of this piece. And, well, I need to look at the top too. There's a little bit here where I can put a shadow to the right of that part and a little bit of shadow to the right of that part. Wow, I'm really happy with the way that turned out. If you wanted, you could add an underline underneath your word or things like that, or you could add little balloons or something in the background. It's totally up to you if you have any extra time. I hope that you guys enjoyed making words in Romero Britto's style today. Bright, beautiful, happy, fun, exciting, loving, caring, just all around good times. In next week's video, we're gonna talk a little bit about expressing sadness. We're gonna talk about Picasso and his blue period next week. I can't wait to see you then.